All right, here we go. Getting started again, man. Gotta how to take care of a drill. All right, I'm gonna get started all over again. Peh. Hopefully, I dealt with that. All right, we're gonna start with a landscape again. Let's do this. Let's see where this leads us. There we go. All right. So the whole thing is starting with some line work. Very simple stuff. Very simple line work. And of course, this is not the only way to do it. This is the way that I prefer to do it most of the time, just to kind of give me an idea of where I'm going with it. Look at that. making some progress. BEA beautiful. I am. This is oil. I'm using walnut oil as a medium. There we go. So I'm putting some purple right there. Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate that. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. I don't seem to clean my brush. Do I use several brushes? I try to not clean it as often. I do carry a little piece of toilet paper that I just kind of squeeze out from time to time, but I'm not washing the brush every time. One of the things that I notice with lots of artists out there is that they're constantly washing their brush, and this fear of not having muddy colors is predominantly in artists that create, I don't know, realism or anything figurative, or the stuff that I do. A lot of it is it's a mixture of different disciplines. Some of the work I used to do was plein air painting. Painting in outdoors, and I did mural work and different stuff like that. So I kind of applied some of those things. When you do plein air painting, you don't really have that much time, nor
I was trying not to scare you.
you weren't scaring me. It's just weird. What was I saying? Yeah, my wife was my wife was grabbing my wallet. Yeah, so I was painting plein air paintings and that type of deal. So it teaches you how to do it very little space, very quick. You can't really wash your brush that much when you're painting plein air and that type of deal. So, because you're not in the comfort of your studio. And so different things that I've learned, I've applied to studio painting, to the studio painting that I do now. Do you plan the colors, or do you just paint what you want in the moment? I sure do. I never plan any colors. That's not what my work is based on. The whole thing is just, it's intuitive painting, so it's a lot of it is just move forward. Use the skills that you know about color, composition, values, and all that stuff. However limited or I don't know, however good you are or limited you are with them, use those skills, and then and just keep moving forward without much thought into it. The intervention of the thought removes from the immediacy of the work. So the less you think, the more immediate your work becomes. The more immediate your work becomes, the more you get to tap into intuition. That's how I roll with it. And so yeah, that's really what I look for when I'm painting. Looking for that immediacy. It's a sense of the immediate. It's a sense. It's not fast either. It may appear fast, but it's not. It's just that different things are being played here. I use lots of paint. My brush is loaded with paint. Another thing that I do is I approach a very minimalist. My brush economy is on the minimalist side, so I'm not trying to brush as much as possible. It can give you the idea that there's not a lot of brushing happening, but there is. It's just that I'm not over brushing in certain areas. And I'm also using a very large brush, as you can see. So the whole thing just kind of comes together in this abstract piece that looks a bit tight in some areas, and then there's a sense of realism also that comes with it. But you know it's not a realist piece, and so there's all these little things happening. That ultimately create the work in a harmonious way. Any tips for beginners? I would say for this type of stuff, I would say start with single objects, just so that you can start getting. Beginner is such a interesting thing. Like there's beginners who are just beginning to paint, and then there is beginners in this style who maybe realist painters or academic painters who are looking to apply some of the stuff they learned in art school into expressionist work like this. Depending on where you're at, what colors are on your palette. I have soft mixing white, phthalo blue, viridian, cad yellow, deep red. It's a cadmium deep red. I have dioxin purple, and here, why don't I just show you guys so you guys can see, because I know people ask me this all the time. There's dioxin purple, magenta, and then there is lamp black right here. I'm gonna mix some paint. Have it ready. Here we go. So I like to mix my paint with walnut oil. Sort of the direction I like to go with it. It's a lot of paint what I use, but also I use a lot of paint because paint a lot. So that's just part of it. Traditional painting, you would probably use 1/10 of what I use. Maybe 1/10, maybe yeah, at most 10-20% probably at most of what I use in traditional academic painting. And the reason for that is because a lot more effort is put into creating values, and it's just a different way of painting. This is much more expressive. This requires impasto. It requires a lot of paint, and there are some elements of realism, but very, very vague, just enough to create representation, some form of representation of the subject matter. But for the most part, it's not traditional. Although I think work like this might be considered traditional now because of where we're at now. Some people say it's still very abstract, but where we are in where artwork has moved, especially in landscapes. Artwork is very hyper realistic right now, or it's very expressive. Especially landscape paintings are either hyper realistic or expressive, one way or another. People that stick with the representational vague type of stuff are usually right in the middle, where probably this stuff falls in. You know, your plein air painters, your daily painters, that type of stuff. That's where it falls in, I think. It's neither on the realist nor on the abstract. It kind of hovers in between both. As soon as I finish mixing some of this paint, I'm going to get started with another one. Alright, here we go. Let's get started with a new one. Let's just see where that will take us. Where that will take us, not takes. All right. Let me sign this painting. There we go. And then let's move on. And again. Here we go. Thank you so much. Yeah, the brushes that I use are the Simply Simmons for the most part. And then I use also some of these Princeton brushes. Not very large. The largest one I use is this very simple, it's like a $2 brush you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. And this one, it's a 2-inch brush, 2-inch wide. It's a hog hair brush. It's probably the biggest brush I use for these paintings. I've been tempted about getting bigger ones. I might just start using some bigger ones for some of the stuff that I'm doing. So here we go. Super simple stuff. Do I have a reference? I do. I have several references that I use. How's it going, Alicia? Good to see you here. What's up, Robert? Good to see you. I have different references that I use. Mainly the references that I use, I don't keep them. When I'm painting, I'm not painting. I'm not trying to copy whatever I'm doing, or it's not verbatim, or. And I've said many times, when you use references as an artist, I think it's important to not try to paint what you're watching, but use it as a very vague reference. And the reason for that is because when you're doing it every now and then, you might want to copy it. You might want to do it similar. You might want to do it as especially when you're learning, you might want to do it as similar as possible, because that's how you learn. But once you get into the groove of I don't know, you're a full-time artist, or you're doing it very you're doing it daily, it might be a good idea to start learning how to paint using the reference, but you're only looking at it like peripherally. You're not looking at it directly anymore. You're not trying to copy it, because it doesn't allow you to be expressive, and it won't allow you to be creative. And so So that's one of the things that I try to share with other artists in this way of painting. When you're doing realism, it makes total sense to copy something, because you want to copy it to the T, especially if you're doing some sort of academic realism or hyper realism, or you're using your knowledge and mix it with the landscape, with whatever you're watching, whether it's a photo or whatever, a reference. But when you're doing expressionism, there is really nothing that looks like what you're painting, and you're not trying to make it look realistic either. You're putting some of the real elements in there, so it makes no sense to even have be attached to a reference, because there's no sense to it. And so use the reference, but don't let the reference use you, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I have to contact her. She said she was gonna come today, but we didn't agree on a time. So I gotta pick up her commission. I'm gonna contact her right now and see. She's gonna. I told her I'd meet her outside, because not letting anyone in the studio right now. I know. Give me a second. Look at that. She might be here because Sonic is going bananas. Marcel, you packaged that painting already, right? Yeah. It's ready? Okay. Yeah, she might. She'll call me, though. She's got my number. Man, it was cold this morning. I'm not gonna lie, no cap. Learning how to talk hip, like the kids. My son tells me when something is like no lie, they say no cap. When something's really cool, they say pog. Look at that. Oh, it's the mailman that he's barking at. Okay, my friends, my dog is going bananas, and I think someone's at the door. I have to go take care of that. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Stay well. Sorry I couldn't finish this painting live. I gotta go take care of this.